Again at 5 with some breaking news from the Target 12 investigators. Governor Dan McKee canceling a multi-million-dollar state contract with a company leading an effort to redevelop the vacant Cranston Street Armory. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mike Montecalvo.
And I'm Shannon Heggie. This comes after a state-hired consultant found the plan would be a money loser for taxpayers. But McKee's decision also comes on the heels of a bizarre business trip by two top state officials that made national news.
Target 12 investigator Alexandra Leslie joins us now live in Providence, where the governor wrapped up a news conference just a short time ago. Alex?
Well, in the report provided by consulting firm JLL, it showed that the proposed plan to rehab the historic building would mean the state would lose a minimum of $10.5 million over a 15-year period. Governor Dan McKee said it was clear that the proposal was too much of a risk for Rhode Island taxpayers. A consulting firm tasked with evaluating a proposal to redevelop the Cranston Street Armory says, quote, the project as currently proposed does not appear to be in the best interest of the state taxpayers. It's something Governor McKee has said publicly for weeks prior to the release of the report.
So there were many things about the proposal that I instinctively felt as though needed to have verified.
Governor McKee says when his administration reviewed the report, it became clear that the numbers for the proposal put too much risk on the state and not enough on other sources. McKee says that's in part because developer Scout Ltd's fees and operating expenses are higher than the industry standard.
While the state is being asked to invest at a minimum of $60.9 million in taxpayer funds to make the project viable, the developer is investing $0 in the project, which I was never comfortable with.
Consulting firm JLL says its analysis of the cost to the state over 15 years for the adaptive reuse of the armory is nearly $61 million, but the potential revenue is only about $50 million. JLL also said the current proposal would require the state to accept the responsibility for all development, operational, and leasing costs.
Again, that's totally on the state in ways that I don't believe that the state should take that risk, the taxpayers should take that risk.
As Target 12 has been reporting, the state and developer Scout Ltd have been embattled in controversy for months, stemming from a business trip two former state directors took in March. Scout called their behavior blatantly sexist, racist, and unprofessional. Reporters asked McKee if that was also a factor in canceling Scout's contract.
No, absolutely not.
So what's next here? Governor Dan McKee says after a review, he feels that this is a community or city project and has had talks with the city of Providence about transferring ownership to them. I'll have new reaction from the Smiley administration coming up, new at 6. With the Target 12 investigators, Alexandra Leslie, 12 News.
Now from the Target 12 investigators, Governor Dan McKee is ending the state's contract with a developer tasked with rehabbing the vacant Cranston Street Armory in Providence. I'm Mike Montecalvo.
And I'm Shannon Heggie. The governor disclosed the details in a news conference this afternoon after a state-hired consultant found the plan would cost taxpayers millions of dollars. Target 12 investigator Alexandra Leslie joins us live in Providence with what the governor says may happen next. Alex?
Well, the governor told us he and Providence Mayor Brett Smiley have had preliminary discussions about a transition of ownership of the Cranston Street Armory, and we learned today that those discussions have been underway for weeks. A state-hired consulting firm tasked with reviewing the financial feasibility of a proposal to redevelop the vacant Cranston Street Armory shows the state would lose a minimum of $10.5 million over a 15-year period.
That is not in the best financial interest of the state or its taxpayers.
The decision comes after months of controversy between the state and developer. It all started when Scout officials alleged in March two former state directors acted inappropriately while on a business trip to Philadelphia. Governor Dan McKee says the controversy didn't play a role in his decision to end the contract, telling reporters that the armory shouldn't be a state project and instead should belong to the city.
This project has the possibility of invigorating the neighborhood and bring much needed economic stimulus to the West End community. And we stand to continue to work with Providence to make good things happen for their community.
McKee says as a result, talks have been underway with the city about a transfer of ownership.
And I'm pleased the mayor and his team have shown initial interest.
Josh Estrella, a spokesperson for Mayor Smiley, told Target 12 in part, any transaction would necessitate a provision for adequate capital improvement funding to ensure effective rehabilitation of the facility, which is critical to future development of the site. Providence City Council President Rachel Miller also said she's committed to making sure there's a future for the Armory, adding she will work with the mayor and state to, quote, explore a transition that makes financial sense for Providence taxpayers. The Department of Administration says they sent Scout the letter of termination today. Scout officials did not immediately respond to a request for comment. With the Target 12 investigators, Alexandra Leslie, 12 News.